All right, guys. It's time. It's the balance patch. First thing I got to note, they buffed Dark Ryu and not my Light Ryu. Smash. Let's go through the balance patch. I know you're all here for the actual balance patch. There are a lot of things that are getting crazy. The most interesting thing to me, and it's a little bit of a spoiler before we go through it, but there's a unit I said that was completely dog shit, that if they reworked it, it would be god tier, and I think it's in this balance patch. So let's start with Wind Sky Surfer. So Oliver's getting a nerf. First of all, they are changing the skill 3 from a 5-turn cooldown to a 6-turn cooldown, which is nice. And they're also reducing the amount of damage he deals or ramps up and gains from his skill 3 activation. So before, it was every time you use skill 3, all of your skills would deal 20% more damage. And now it's only 10% more damage, 5 stacks. So instead of 100% bonus damage, you now get 50% bonus damage after you've used skill 3 5 times. I think that's fair. I think it's good that they're not over nerfing the unit. I'll be honest. I don't want another situation with Jogun where he's over nerfed and he's garbage for a really long time. So I'm pretty happy with the direction that they took on this. I'll be honest, I don't think they needed to nerf Nana this way, but they changed Nana's revive from 40% HP to 25% HP, and that seems pretty crippling. I think it's going to be really bad for Siege. Siege defenses are already in a really bad place, so I don't really think that that's a great change to make, but maybe it's just because it's like, I guess it's too oppressive in the RTA meta. I was thinking maybe 30%, 35%. I think 30% would have been reasonable. 15% HP loss is a lot, but, I don't know. Let's see how it is. I'm hopeful for the patch. So Weapon Masters, these are the units I was talking about that I thought were absolutely terrible, but could be so good with reworks or like small changes. So it looks like the skill effect condition has been changed for the Fire Weapon Master Carlos. So before, it used to be when an enemy dies, increases your attack bar by 75%. It increases your power by the dead target's base attack power. Now it's when an enemy or an ally dies, you will get that attack bar and you will get the dead target's attack power. That's actually a pretty cool change. I think it's nice because it gives you a chance to come back instead of only having it as a snowball mechanic. So before, Carlos was only good if you were already winning, and now Carlos gives you a chance to come back when you're starting to lose. So I think that's actually a pretty good change. It's very unique and it's fun, so I'm excited to see how that works out. We have Liam. This is the unit that I thought was completely garbage and could be very strong. So they've changed his skill. What it is before, attacks all enemies if there are 3 or more enemies, and attacks the selected target 6 times if there are less than 3 enemies. The damage increases according to the enemy's max HP, and this attack decreases the enemy's attack speed for 2 turns. What they're changing it to is attacks all enemy and stuns for 1 turn if there are 4 or more enemies, okay? AoE stun. The damage increases the higher the enemy's current HP. Okay, so it's similar to Perna's skill 2, where it does more HP if the enemy's closer to max, to their maximum HP. Attacks the selected target 6 times if there are 3 or fewer enemies, and deals damage that ignores defense up to 100% of the lower the target's current HP. Interesting. So it ignores defense scaling from 0 to 100 based on what the enemy's current HP state is. So I assume if there's 3 or less enemies, that means it only attacks 1 unit. And if there are 4 enemies, it'll attack everybody. Interesting mechanic. I'm not sure if I like the 4-man AoE stun, because it's just an AoE stun. It doesn't have anything else. But if it attacks everybody and then 1 target 6 times for more damage, that's like kind of overpowered. So I think this is still like kind of just okay. It's probably better in Siege than it is in RTA, but it has potential. So I'm interested in seeing how people end up using Liam. He seems like a very cool unit. All right, let's talk about Dominic. I thought this unit was going to be amazing when it came out. I thought it was going to be like the Nat 5 Fuki, and it turned out to suck. It was terrible, actually. The multipliers were too weak, and it couldn't be used. So as is, your attack power increases as your HP decreases, and attacks additionally when attacking an enemy on your turn. This attack deals damage proportionate to your max HP if your HP exceeds 50%, and recovers HP equal to the damage dealt if it's 50% or below. Okay. You either deal more damage if you're over 50, or you heal if you're under 50. So what they're changing it to is your attack power increases as your HP decreases, and attacks additionally, dealing damage equal to 300% of your attack power when attacking an enemy on your turn. This attack absorbs the enemy's attack bar by 30% if your HP exceeds 50% and recovers HP equal to 50% of the damage dealt if it's 50% or below. Now, I think this is actually a really good change. They added a fixed amount so you know how much damage is going to be coming from that additional attack. They also gave him attack bar gain, which is really good. So his cycling will be really strong, and if he's below 50%, he has that built-in vampire. So that's actually pretty cool. I think it's a good change. I'm really excited. Oh my gosh, I just like skipped ahead there. I'm really excited for this change for Karma. So Karma is the skill that people kind of meme on because if you miss, it doesn't really do anything. But they've added an effect where it increases your attack bar by 100% after using a skill. I assume that means using this skill. I assume that's what that means. Yeah, because the wind one has a passive, so I assume that's what it means. Because Karma's the skill too, not the passive. Okay. So I think they just worded that weirdly, but that's really cool. It kind of mitigates the fact that like if you get resisted, you get kind of, you know, fucked over, but no. It's a reasonable change. Onmyouji Fire, Yin Yang Bounded Circle. I'm actually excited to see this as a change here. Increases harmful effects granted on all enemies by 1 turn each. Harmful effects applied to the selected enemy target are equally granted on all enemies. Huh. So instead of increasing the duration of debuffs, you basically she now turns single target debuffs into AoE debuffs. That's actually really cool. So if you have like a single target 2-turn provoke or something, or like 3-turn sleep, you can just amplify it onto everyone. That's kind of sick. That's kind of really sick. Okay, I actually like that. I think that's a cool change. I'm not sure if it's good yet, but it would be a cool change considering she is a speed lead. You can take stuns, put them on other units, slow debuffs, put them on other units. I think there's a lot of synergy here. Water Onmyouji, All Things in Nature, the skill 3. Grants all beneficial effects to allies for 1 turn. Is now granting all beneficial effects to all allies for 2 turns? Yo, that's huge. Wait, Shizuka's actually like pretty good now. She gives you 2-turn immunity on skill 3. 2-turn attack buff. Oh my goodness, that's actually pretty solid. I think I like that. All right, Beast Monk change. Crushing Blow, which is their skill 1. Effect change. When a critical hit lands, increase your attack speed for 2 turns. They will now strip a buff from the enemy on skill 1. Okay, interesting. So water, wind, light, and dark, all except for the fire, have awakening changes. When a critical hit lands, increases your attack speed for 2 turns. Okay, so they're basically just adjusting it so it makes sense for the awakened forms of them as well. Okay, Beast Rider, Masha. This is interesting to me. I really like Masha, and I think she's very good, but I'm curious as to what they're planning on doing to her. So currently, the attack bar increases skill effect granted on yourself, increases by 50%, and the attack bar decreasing skill effect granted on yourself decreases by 50%. Also, your attack speed increases by 15% whenever your attack bar increases due to skills up to 5 times. That's correct. So, to be gains immunity effect for 1 turn and decreases the effect of attack bar, decreasing skills received from the enemy by 50% when you attack on your turn. Oh my god, they just gave her immunity straight up? Okay, so they took away the double attack bar gain and traded it for 1-turn immunity every turn. That's actually pretty good. I like that quite a bit. Okay, Water Demon. I'm excited because this is a new unit that I just pulled. Repeated Nightmare. Glancing hit does not occur when you attack. Oh, wait. So Water Demon doesn't attack anymore. Oh my god, Water Demon doesn't glance anymore. Wait, that's actually so sick. Okay, Zeratu. Added effect on passive. Removes a beneficial effect from the enemy target if you get a critical hit. That's actually really good for siege defense. And probably pretty good for... I want to say it's probably pretty good for SF10 if you want to use Chimera Dots. And you'll strip the speed buff on the boss in PC10 as well. Chimera Fire, Rakan. Effect added provokes all enemies for 1 turn, excluding the enemy target attacked on your turn. Okay, so Collapse is now AoE provoke. This is actually something we talked about in an Island Grown podcast like maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. Actually, probably more than 2 years ago now because Island Grown hasn't streamed the game in a long time. That was a really cool suggestion we made 2 years ago. I'm glad they finally added it to the game, guys. Finally added it to the game. Finally added it to the game. All right, Desert Queen Fire, Charming Voice, cooldown reduction, Light, skill 3, cooldown reduction. Okay, those are both good. Polar Queen Water increases freeze chance by 10%. That's good. Wind Phoenix, Added effect on Tempest passive, stuns all enemies for 1 turn. That's actually pretty good. It now becomes a little bit more PvP viable, maybe offense viable. Pioneer Wind Lightning of Cycle cannot be revived if the enemy target dies from the first attack. That is really good, actually. That is actually really good because it denies the double revive teams and the Nana defense teams. That's actually really good for arena offense. So Fire Pioneer, it's kind of cool. They're changing his skill 3. Effect added, decreases the attack bar of all enemies by 15% each, and additionally decreases the attack bar by 15% each per harmful effect or beneficial effect removed. It is now absorbs the attack bar of all enemies by 15% and additionally absorbs. So they basically changed pushback to absorb. It's cool. Dark Anubis change. Hopefully this is good. 1 hit to 2 hit change is nice because additional damage is better. Skill effect activation condition change. Resets the cooldown of Deadly Wraith if an ally dies while the skill's on cooldown. They've now set it to an enemy or an ally. I don't think it's actually that relevant making it 2 hits because they say total damage unchanged. So I assume that means that they nerfed the multiplier. Well, okay. So the reason I say this is because it brands. So I'm assuming in this situation now it brands and hits a second time. So it probably does more damage overall. Dark Sea Emperor, Mannanan, inflicts continuous damage to 1 turn to all enemies, excluding the target. It's okay. It's not that special. It's not that great. Dark Ryu, they're changing PPK combo. Effect change, 1 to 3 hits decreases the enemy's attack bar by 30%. Now it removes a beneficial effect from the enemy target, each with a 100%. Oh, it's a big stripper now. Interesting. PPK combo is unique in that sense. They're changing the Dark Striker version as well. Undine, Wind, and Light. They're now adding Oblivion on Mind Shock. So it's now cooldown reset plus 2 turn Oblivion. That's actually really good. Wind Undine's going to be a lot stronger in Siege. It's going to be a great setup there. Sylphid. Strong Gust pass. Strong Gust is skill 2, which is the cooldown reset. It now stuns for 1 turn with 50% chance. That's cool. They've made a change to Freya, so the attack bar reduction is 10% more. Water Sylphid Awaken. Decreases the cooldown of Healing Breeze by 1 turn if there are no harmful effects on the ally. Unconditionally decreases the skill cooldown of an ally by 1 turn. Okay, that's really cool. Or skill 3 is now a full heal and decreases skill cooldown by 1. Wind Sylphid, shield amount increased by 10%. Light Sylphid grants immunities. Oh, okay, so it grants the immunity after healing. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Fire Blacksmith. They've increased the potency of attack buff, defense buff, and speed buff there by 10% from 25 to 35. The water one, effect changed. When an enemy resists a harmful effect, increase the accuracy of all allies by 10% to 20%. And when an ally gets a harmful effect, increases... Okay, so basically you get 20% instead of 10% before. That's actually pretty good. Pretty good. Water and Dark Hammer. Ooh, harmful effect rate change from 50% to 85% is actually really, really good. And making it 3-turn defense break, 3-turn attack break makes this unit a lot more viable in PvP. It makes her a lot better in arena offense for me. She wasn't an absolute necessity to have for the defense break, but she's a lot better now with that. Kind of cool. Light Overhaul. When Great is activated, additionally reduces the skill cooldown of all allies by 1 turn. Okay, that's kind of cool. More great effect opportunities. All the Kungfu girls now get... a little bit more to their skills. So the light one, skill 3, I believe, removes beneficial effects. Water Kung Fu Girl skill 3 is defense break, which is actually really good for newer players trying to get into raid. And the fire one stuns. So the light and the water one are actually pretty good for a lot of things. And then increases their chance to proc. Oh, so their skill 2 goes into skill... Wait, I have to check Water Dragon Attack. Is that skill 1 or skill 2? I actually don't know. Let's see. No, it's their skill 3. Okay, that's really interesting. Okay, so these are actually really, really strong PvE units now, guys. These are really strong PvE units now. They're very good for raids. So what they did was they made the skill 3 on Shaolin defense break for 2 turns. And then strip for the light one. And their skill 2 has a chance to go into skill 3 now instead of going instead of skill 1 going into skill 2. It's now skill 1 can go into skill 2 into skill 3, which is pretty sick. So they adjusted some stats here nicely for Wind Pioneer to focus more on attack, and Water and Wind Phoenix to give some more HP. Light Fairy King gets an awakening change from accuracy to crit rate. That's actually really, really good. Okay, I'm going to give this patch, in general, for the overall populace, I'm going to give this patch a 9 out of 10. I think it's a 9 out of 10 because there's a lot of good relevant changes to all aspects of the game. When it comes to RTA, I think for most players, this is probably a 9.5, maybe a 10 due to all of her nerfs and non-nerfs. As a Siege player, I'm going to say it's like a 7.5 to an 8. I'm not quite sure yet if it's really good or really bad because they made some really good offense units, but they also made some pretty good defense units. So we have potential. And then for pretty much everything else, it's like an 8 to 8.5. It's got that good range there. So I'm happy with this patch. A solid 9 out of 10. Job come to us. So if you guys like this patch, I got to know why. Tell me why you like this patch. Tell me what you want to change. Tell me what you think was stupid, what you think was completely irrelevant, what you wish was in here instead. Christina Buffs. Light Striker Buffs. Talisman. Where are you, Talisman? But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments below. And thank you again for being here, and I appreciate you all. See you in the next video.